We teach practical self-defense skills, primarily to women, girls, and gender non-conforming people in the DC area.
When I see somebody going through some tough time, I remember those days. I don't forget.
I think no matter how good you are at whatever you choose to do, you can always be better.
I believe the national conversation about sexual harassment right now is extremely necessary. I think that it's something that people weren't necessarily talking about, but they were aware of. And I think it's just mimicking the way the world is moving right now in terms of transparency and really wanting to have a conversation about things that matter and not just sugarcoating it.
The law is clear on workplace harassment. Any sexual overtures that you don't want, either through words or touch, that could hurt your job position, make it hard to carry out your work, or make the workplace hostile is wrong. It's not only wrong if your boss does it. It could be another manager or a colleague, even someone who doesn't work there. And the rules don't just help women. Men can be victims too. The law also recognizes that both men and women can do the harassing, and that the harasser can be the same gender as the victim. That's just the workplace. The rest of the world can be harder to navigate.
As women, we're taught to think about other people's feelings so constantly that even when it comes to an experience of being harassed plainly, the only thing I could think about was the other person's feelings. I wanted to be nicer. I wanted to make it better by my own power of being a better person, a kinder person, and it just didn't work. And I ended up getting assaulted. And it was, the hardest part was realizing after the fact how willingly I abandoned my own comfort and my own sense of safety for another person that I didn't even know.
My name's Farah Fasseh, and I'm an instructor with an organization called Defend Yourself. We teach practical self-defense skills, primarily to women, girls, and gender non-conforming people in the DC area.
Stop talking to me.
Stop talking to me.
Get off the bed.
Get off the bed.
Go away.
Go away.
In general, I'm really interested in supporting particularly women to know how to do things like be able to set boundaries, have respectful workspaces, be able to have relationships that are based on consent that don't involve coercion or violence.
About it generally, like going down on the nose. It could also be used like to the side of the head, like here. No. Go.
No.
Go.
No.
Go.
No.
Go.
You know, in society, women are taught to be nice, and I think it can be really hard to recognize when harassment is starting or when there's the signs of an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
No.
Nice.
No.
So when you're hitting it, you don't want to think about like that you're tapping it, but that you're actually like as though you're trying to put your fist all the way through it.
No.
Nice. And you can do one to the other side.
No.
The self-defense that we teach is really understanding that the majority of attacks against women and girls happen by people that we know. This isn't, people dressed in black jumping out at us in an alley with knives and stuff. This is people that we know.
Would either of you want to share one takeaway that you would have?
I think the practicing was really, somehow that just, sunk in right away. If I have something that I can fall back on without thinking about it in the moment and wondering, what should I do right now? Then I'll feel much more competent and if a situation arises to take care of myself.
And go. No! And go. No!
I'm concerned about sexual harassment myself and everyone around me, and I think that hearing about that subject in the media on a regular basis is a trigger for a lot of people, and just hopefully will bring change, but also I wanted to be part of making that change happen.
Sexual harassment isn't a new concept, it's not a new thing. I wanted to take this self-defense class really to help strengthen the dialogue around Me Too and really not stop talking about it.
If you see harassment, you have to say something, do something. It cannot be left to other people to act. Everybody has to act.
The Potter's House is more than just a coffee shop. Along with the Java, they serve up a safe space to chill or to work.
I feel like I want to try that next.
Managers wanted to create more of a sense of community, so they started with the espresso machine. 2 years ago, the Potter's House moved it from here against the wall to here, facing outward, so the baristas could better engage the customers.
Do you want that iced or hot?
Now, with claims about sexual harassment and abuse making headlines, the restaurant industry is looking closer at how customers and waiters interact.
I've seen situations where, like, someone's being sexually harassed, someone's being made to feel uncomfortable, and I don't know. I just have no idea what to do.
So the Potter's House brought in help to train local coffee shop workers.
If they feel like they're going to get away with it and no one's going to call them out.
Melissa Yo teaches how to intervene and how to de-escalate the situation.
It could be something small and subtle, it could be direct. It's whatever the intervener is comfortable with, but it's to show that there's no one way to step in.
These participants discussed how the service industry, with its natural hierarchy between server and buyer, is a hotbed for discrimination. From generation gaps,
he apologized and said that he's a creature of the 50s and he's from a different time.
To liquor.
The person was intoxicated, came in, started to cause a scene.
To gender attacks.
And I hid down on the floor behind the counter and cried.
The class placed actions on a spectrum.
I'm just gonna go for it.
Discussing which is more extreme. Then they role-played to better understand sensitivities. The idea is to capture these skills and take them back to their workplace. Not only to give their coworkers a hand, but also to stop any abusive behavior directed toward themselves. Carolyn Prasuti, VOA News, Washington.
We live in a patriarchal society where already men largely benefit from this in different ways. And although men can be victims of sexual harassment, and there are many who have been, and no one wants to diminish their story, it is a universal kind of experience for women who have been catcalled, who have been touched inappropriately on subways and in public spaces, who have been propositioned, that part of the kind of universal narrative for women in the U.S. is to have been sexually harassed, which is disgusting.
The best way to really understand a culture to me is to go and have a meal with the people.
are here at the Sweet Home Cafe, the cafeteria of the National Museum of African American History and Culture, and we are lucky enough to call the chef of this cafe our guide. So, Chef, we'll start with a tour.
Yes, yes.
And then we'll cook together.
Awesome.
I'll feel like I'll be a chef for a day.
Yes, you will be.
Yay.
You will be.
Let's go.
What we have here is our kitchen. So we have our hotline side here. Moving on down here is pretty much all of our prep area. Here we have everything from collard greens going on to okras, different types of stews, gumbos. Just an awesome space to be able to tell this story and put this kind of food out. You know, it's really high volume for us. We serve anywhere between 1,800 to 2,000 people a day.
Wow.
So it's 7 days a week, 364 days a year. We only close on Christmas.
So you never take any holidays?
No, I live here. I live here. After slavery was abolished, a lot of Africans moved to the West for newer beginnings. A lot of them worked on, chuck wagons, feeding people, working on the railroads, But at the same time, there was this great mix of cultures. You had Native American culture out there, Latin culture, as well as Asian culture. The best way to really understand a culture, to me, is to go and have a meal with the people. Understand why they do these things or the ingredients that they utilize. There you'll really see the underlying of, what the backbone of the culture is. And for us, we make great food, but we also tell the stories behind it. So what we'll start doing is building the pot liquor for it. There's actually the liquid that we're gonna braise the greens in. One next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and make some mac and cheese. We're gonna add a little bit of our bechamel in there. We've already blanched off our macaroni. Awesome. During our Thanksgiving here, we also feature smothered turkey wings, which is a Southern staple. So what we've done is we've taken them and we've slow braised them. So after they're done cooking, where they're just almost falling off the bone, we'll separate the stock from it and actually build the sauce out of the same braising liquid.
And another very important ingredient on the table that you can't miss is cornbread.
It's cornbread, yes. We go through a lot of cornbread here, over 500 pieces a day. We bake ours fresh here in-house. Simple recipe, a little bit of cornmeal, flour, sugar, eggs and milk, as well as a little bit of honey just to add that nice finishing sweetness to it.
Dessert time, still with Chef Jerome, with the infamous sweet potato pie, and I can tell you guys that it smells so good. Do you drink coffee with it or a glass of wine?
Things I put with it depends on my mood. So if it's me sneaking a slice of sweet potato pie at night, you'll probably see a nice glass of whiskey next to it.
Here we have a little insight of what can be found on an African American traditionally table for Thanksgiving, and I think it's just half of it. There's some more.
Oh, there's so much more.
So much more?
Yes.
Oh my God. But this is a good start.
Yes, most definitely. This is a good start.
Collard green, turkey,
collard greens, mac and cheese, sweet potato pie, cornbread.
Sweet potato pie, cornbread. Yes. We've done a great job.
Yes.
How do you say bon appetit?
Bon appetit.
Bon appetit.
Well, Thanksgiving for my family is a time when we basically just get together and share a big meal and spend time together.
As a teacher, I love Thanksgiving for the opportunity to talk about gratitude, which to me is really being thankful for what you have and appreciating the moment, the present moment, and not so much of the things that we tend to get wrapped up in.
Giving back is like participating in the community in ways that wouldn't necessarily be easy for me to access. Because you can do nice things year-round that are within your sphere, but Thanksgiving and giving back is really a time where you reach outside of yourself and your normal community.
Just blocks from the White House in Washington, you'll find Sakina Halal Grill. Inside, authentic Pakistani cuisine is being prepared for the day. Among today's diners are people who have fallen upon hard times.
To my brother and sister who are going through rough time, we fed them free over 6,000 meals last year. I want to do a double or triple this year.
Franklin Square is a park where mostly a lot of homeless people comes. Someone mentioned it in Franklin Square Park, and they was telling me there's this cool restaurant, so I walked along with them, and pow, here we are. I got to meet the owner. That is a blessing because I didn't think those type of people exist anymore, actually, you know. I hope it inspires other people and other organizations and restaurants to do the same.
Ghazi Mannan was raised in Pakistan.
I grew up in poverty with the 10 siblings. When I was 12-year-old, I was selling ice in the street to make some money. My father was a religious teacher, my mother was a religious teacher. They were always volunteers, just serving community. So there was no source of income when we were growing up. We were very, very poor. So when I landed, honestly, I have $3 in my pocket. This is a dream country where I came. I'm very fortunate that I accomplished many of my dreams. When I see somebody going through some tough time, I remember those days. I don't forget.
He's doing something that is incredible. Dignifying another human being and giving them a meal and being kind empowers people.
My faith is also, my inspiration that, taught me to be generous, serve humanity, to be kind, be generous, and, love everybody the way you want somebody love you, you know.
Ghazi Mannan's generosity does not end at his restaurant's walls. Once a week on Sunday, he joins volunteers and also provides hot meals for people at a Washington homeless shelter. Aisha Galani Taylor, VOA, Washington.
If you start the day with a healthy meal, I guarantee you're going to feel better throughout that day and throughout that week. You'll be more motivated to do better in school, to get a better job, to maybe go work out or be more successful. And so it's really unfortunate that our food system is set up so calories are cheap, but nutrition is expensive. We're looking to change the face of produce to make it really accessible, really affordable for people that really need it. So if you walk down a grocery store aisle and you see perfect looking apple, perfect looking apple, perfect looking apple, imperfect looking apple, meaning it's too big or too small or it has a bruise on it, you wouldn't choose it in a grocery store and that would get thrown away, right? We use the perception of it's not what it looks like, it's what it tastes like. And even the ugly stuff tastes even better than the stuff you would find in a grocery store because it's not processed, it doesn't have wax on it, it's straight out of the grounds, right? So it's even fresher and it tastes even better than the stuff you find in a grocery store. So our company's called Hungry Harvest. We have 3 different options. We have an organic, we have a recovered box, and we have an all fruit option. We sell produce with purpose. We hire people that were formerly in prison, we hire people that were formerly injured or were sick, that are living in homeless shelters, that are really looking to get back on their feet and for a second chance in life. Well, I live, breathe, and literally eat Hungry Harvest. So this is my entire life. I'm not unsatisfied at all, not having a life outside of Hungry Harvest. This is what I do, and I love what I do.
I think no matter how good you are at whatever you choose to do, you can always be better.
It may only be November, but more than 250 Santas at the C.W. Howard Santa School are already decking the halls for Christmas. Charlie W. Howard, the featured Santa Claus in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade for 17 years and a consultant on the classic Christmas movie Miracle on 34th Street, started the school in 1937, says Tom Valent, the school's dean.
At that time, there was a great need for good Santa, better Santas. Santas didn't portray that image that we want. Santa Claus stands for all good things. And some of the gentlemen that were portraying that image weren't up to par then.
Today, Santas really don't have that problem. They attend the school for a variety of different reasons, such as learning Santa sign language, facts about reindeer, and how to do proper dress and makeup. They also become familiar with the newest wish list toys, gain interview experience for radio and TV, and get tips for managing their business taxes. Robert Davis, who's played Santa for 30 years, has attended the school several times.
I think no matter how good you are at whatever you choose to do, you can always be better. And not only does the school teach you so much, but when you interact with 250 fellow people that love the same thing you do, you learn something new every year.
No one knows exactly how many Santas have graduated from the school, but conservative estimates place the number around 15,000. During that time, there have been students from North America, Europe, Africa, and Australia. This year, the school not only has Santas from all 50 states, but also 20 from Canada, 3 from Denmark, 1 from New Zealand, and 1 from Norway. This is Oslo Santa, also known as Fred Oster. It's his 8th time at the school.
I have been Santa this Christmas 65 years.
The Santas never claim to be the one and only real Santa, but rather the spirit of Christmas. At the school's opening night Santa Walk, they tell visiting children they're cousins of Santa. They also never promise anything, instead saying they'll try their best.
Anywhere I go, I try to make my contact and exchange with that child the very best that it can be, because that could be that child's best 5 minutes of the year.
After all, as founder Charles W. Howard was fond of saying, he errs who thinks Santa enters through the chimney. Santa enters through the heart. For VOA News, I'm Erica Celeste in Midland, Michigan.
It's always been a manpower issue, even before the hurricane. We're not a glamorous profession. It's not something that people run out and say, gee, I think I want to get into civil construction.